last week we compared Brock Purdy to Baker Mayfield, his opponent.
Mm-hmm.
This past week on Twitter, I compared Brock Purdy to Geno Smith, his former opponent, in the sense that last 15 starts, Brock's 8-7, Geno's 7-8, Brock's quarterback rating's 91, Geno's 90. So that's an arbitrary number, 15. I picked it because that's when the Ravens game was, and that's when things started to change. So maybe I'm just a hater. In fact, I know I'm just a hater. But
yeah, you're a hater.
Hate. Next person who talks, who interrupts me while I'm talking. Anyway, are we going too far here?
I don't think that we are. I mean, I think the point was, I don't want to speak for you, but I don't think that you think that Geno is better than Brock.
No.
I don't think that Baker is better than Brock. I think the point is that these guys are getting paid way, way less than $60 million. And it's close enough that the 49ers also shouldn't pay Brock $60 million. And I think the other thing is this, is that Brock, it's interesting because Brock played really well early on. And somehow he's built up enough cachet in about a season of play. One season is basically what he's had, to where it doesn't matter that 40% of his now games played in the NFL, including the playoffs, he hasn't been very good. Who cares? Because the first 60% was so good. Brock doesn't have years stacked upon years of being elite in this league. He has one really good year. And then since then, and so that has to play in here. Your comparison was 15 games, which is 40% of his games played. My comparison to Baker was 70% of his career games. So, like, why does he have so much cachet based off of essentially a season? That's what I don't understand. And I think the 49ers need to be careful. They need to weigh everything evenly, because we're talking about, in one case, almost half of his career, and in the other case, almost 3/4 of it.
I think I get it. I think people fell in love with the story of Brock the way they fell in love with the story of Geno in Seattle. Like, first season of the Geno Smith show, first season of the Brock Purdy show. Like, people just fell in love with the character, the backstory, his personality, his whole presentation. Like, Niners Nation is in on Brock, and they were in early. And same with Seattle and Geno. And I think it's going to take both markets a long time to sort of change the way they look at that Cinderella story, right? It kind of is a guy out of nowhere that they discovered. The rest of the league didn't see it, but Seattle gets it. Santa Clara appreciates. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. And are you going to let that, be the reason that you give him $60 million a year? Because once you do, that whole romantic story narrative is going to be gone, and you're just going to be thinking about money and production every week. So thank goodness Seattle didn't give Geno Smith $60 million a year, but that's something the Niners absolutely could do with Brock. And the fact that it's now been 40% of his career where he's statistically mid isn't helping him financially. And I wonder what the Niners are going to do about that if that's how his season continues to go.
Yeah, and I think we can do this across other teams. 49er fans are territorial over their quarterback. I get it, much like every fan base is. We see it with Dallas and Dak. We see it with Seattle and Geno. But let's look at a different quarterback. And this is a quarterback that I loved coming out of college. He was my clear number one pick last year, CJ Stroud. If the Texans, as a 49er fan, if you're looking at the Texans, and let's assume that they also had to pay CJ at the end of this year. Now, luckily for them, they don't. He's younger. But let's say they had to pay CJ at the end of this year based off of his amazing rookie year and doing something that nobody expected, bringing the Texans to the playoffs. And then this year where he's been okay, right? Very similar to Brock, actually. It's been okay, but not near as good as last year. And there's clearly something that's off. The league is caught up, and now it's time for him to see if he can catch up as well. Would you feel confident in giving him $60 million? I think he has all the physical tools in the world. I think he's super smart. I think he's extremely accurate. He was should have been the number one pick. And I loved him coming out of college, but I still wouldn't feel comfortable paying him $60 million either. So it doesn't have to necessarily be Brock. It's just you have to see more from these guys before you can just crown them and give them whatever type of money you think they deserve.
Here's what's scary to me about giving out the big bucks to a quarterback. I've been talking about this for years about like what does the rest of your roster, but just look at Cincinnati. Okay. Mm-hmm. They gave the big bucks to Joe Burrow, who is unquestionably worth it. Would we agree?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In the sense that like his production matches.
Yeah.
He's got 27 touchdown passes. Like you can't look at him on his own. He's leading the league in quarterback rating. Like he's having a great year that's worth that much money, but his team sucks. Is that his fault? I don't know. Maybe if they had a better coach, but like, where's the team? Is it just him? And he could put up good numbers, but like, it seems to me if you're spending that much money on one player and he's making more money than Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, like you're probably screwed. Probably screwed. Even if your quarterback is Joe Burrow, who I think is just phenomenal. So if they give Brock Purdy more than $45 million a year, which even that to me seems rich considering Baker gets 30 and Geno gets 30, they're in huge trouble for a long time. Maybe that's dramatic.
I would agree. No, I would agree with that. It depends on when that, obviously the money's not going to hit right away. So they'll have a couple year window like I think the Lions have with Goff right now. But yeah, I don't know. I can't wait. I mean, this offseason is going to be crazy. Like we're going to talk about it a million times over. I am finding it interesting that 49er fans loved stats last year. And now when these types of stats come out, they're like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of stats. They loved quarterback wins last year. And now that he's not winning, it's like, well, it's not, quarterback wins is not that. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But it was when you were talking about Justin Herbert and how he doesn't win. It's just kind of funny to see how quickly things can change when your quarterback's under the microscope. And it's going to get a lot worse when he gets paid.
Corey Coleman, we got you. Shreddy Murphy, you good, Grant? Bro went full Kanye Sway interview versus stats today. LOL, you ain't got the answers. How Sway? How Sway? 49er Talk Show says, don't be surprised if Kyle blames injuries for his losses and maybe what they are doing with Purdy because Kyle Shanahan never takes accountability, just chokes fourth quarters. Hey, Brock, people are starting to blame me for this season. So instead of us like going out there and like actually trying and losing and me getting fired, you're done for the year and we're going to use this as an injury excuse. I can see why your mind went there. I just don't think life works that way.
I don't think so either.
It's too convenient, but I know what you mean. Nicholas says, thoughts on Kittle's response to your question. One, I think Kittle is everything you want from an athlete in terms of an interview. Like he's engaged. He gives the best answer he possibly could, and he puts personality into it. Like, thank you, George. But I asked him, like, how come this team can't close when you've closed so many games before? And he thought about it. He's like, that's a really good question. And instead of blaming someone, he said, I mean, it's literally all of our fault. Like, we could do better here. We could do better here. That was pretty much the head coach answer. Interesting coming from the tight end.
I don't want to look too much into it psychologically, but I'm going to anyways.
Love it.
He said, if I remember correctly, he said everybody takes a little bit of blame.
Sure.
But who did he immediately say does not deserve blame? Do you remember?
No.
Kyle Shanahan. Is that a subconscious way of saying that Kyle Shanahan is at fault? I'm just saying, listen, he said...
I know everyone's blaming Kyle, as they should be, but let me say other people too.
He said, Kyle's drawing up perfect plays. We're just not executing. It's like, oh, okay.